Pierre LeBrun going out there and stirring the pot between the Montreal Canadiens and the New Jersey Devils. So let's go out there and listen to a post made by the Commission Athletique Twitter account. This was posted earlier in the week, yesterday actually, and it is a video segment of Pierre LeBrun going out there and giving us the scoop. I'll leave a link in the description to this video clip, as well as an article on HabsFanatics.com published by Elias Adiem yesterday. Of course, the ExpressVPN link is also down there in the description, so if you need a VPN, consider Express. It helps me out, it helps you out, and we all are able to get what we want. Of course, I get a little bit of a kickback, which is why I'm promoting this darn thing, but this is the article that we're going to be looking at in this video. Insider reveals a major scoop about Jake Evans and the New Jersey Devils ahead of the trade deadline. According to his information, several teams are already interested in acquiring Jake Evans, including the Devils, a team Kent Hughes has dealt with on several occasions over the past few months. Notably, one might think of Jake Allen, as well as Jonathan Kovacevic. Pierre LeBrun confirms that New Jersey have Evans on their list. Here is the excerpt from the video clip. Among the teams that already have Jake Evans on their list are the New Jersey Devils, according to my info. They are looking for a good center for their third or fourth line, and ideally a right-handed one, who can win faceoffs and kill penalties. So, Evans is not the only one, there's a certain list, but he's on it. Every team like the Devils who are aiming for the Stanley Cup has a list of 10 to 12 players at this time of the year, and Jake Evans is one of the 12 players on the Devils list, but we will see what happens. Pierre LeBrun, who adds that if the Canadiens are truly in the playoff race by the trade deadline, it's hard to see them selling Jake Evans. And this, of course, is not really surprising, that last tidbit at the end there. Oh, if the Canadiens are in the playoff race, then they probably don't trade Evans. If they're really competitive, if they're actually getting in there, then there's no reason for them to make this move, and if there's really mutual interest of him wanting to stay in Montreal, then why would you go out there and make the trade? You're probably just better off keeping him anyways. And when it comes to Jake Evans, obviously he has been a bit of a hotter name as of late because of the prosperity he has had on that line with Armia and Heineman. He's at 23 points in 40 games right now, on pace for 48 on the season, which would shatter his career highs pretty much. He's already on pace to besting out his goal total because he's got 10 goals in 40 games. His career high is 13 goals on a season. So Jake Evans is already in a much better spot than he's ever been, despite the 4-game pointless streak he has had the past little while. As we had talked about in the Vancouver-Montreal video from a few days ago, even though Jake Evans didn't get a point against the Canucks earlier this week, he still looked awesome. That line is just total dynamite, and they control the play so well, they move well, they think well, they pass it to each other very nicely. Jake Evans has a lot of good chemistry with some of the guys on this team, so it's not surprising to hear that his name is being considered by some of the top NHL teams in a trade-like scenario, and the New Jersey Devils just happen to make sense. Considering the trade history, Jake Allen, Kovacevic, these guys have been very good, reasonable additions for the New Jersey Devils, and it gets even more apparent when you look at the Devils and their line combinations, because Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes is a really great 1-2 down the middle, but after that you've got Justin Dowling and Curtis Lazar. Now, I don't want to disrespect Justin Dowling too much. I mean, he is a former Vancouver Canuck, so obviously I have some sort of an affinity towards him. And Curtis Lazar, you can say the same thing, former Vancouver Canucks. So I guess there is some sort of a former Vancouver thing going on here with the New Jersey Devils and their center core, but yeah, Jake Evans would be an upgrade over either of these two guys. No disrespect. And of course, also, it'd be nice to see that Montreal reunion, get Allen, get Kovacevic, get Evans, all from one team to another. These guys have exhibited some very good success in the New Jersey Devils organization. Kovacevic has been touted as one of the more underrated and kind of bona fide top 4 defensemen on this team. You also have yourselves that Jake Allen, who steps in once in a while. Admittedly, he hasn't been like the best recently, but that's not really his fault. He has been still producing some good numbers on the season, and I think a lot of people have been in a good spot to respect Jake Allen over the past few months here. I mean, all the shutouts at the beginning of the season, they definitely help his stock in establishing that reputation, don't they? And imagine having two Jakes go from Montreal to New Jersey in the span of about a year. That is certainly an interesting narrative to bring up. But ultimately, when you talk about Jake Evans and I almost said Jake Allen, Jake Evans and his potential versatile gameplay, I do wonder what that would look like on a third line in New Jersey. Let's say you dethrone Justin Dowling, and instead of it being Dowling alongside of Paul Cotter and Dawson Mercer, you have Evans in there instead. That sounds like a really nice sort of puck-moving, puck-facilitating kind of line with two guys in Cotter and Evans who can just go. Mercer would be a little bit of a passenger off the puck, but offensively, when they're having possession and they're cycling it around, there's no one better than Mercer that's going out there and just doing the right thing. Paul Cotter, of course, can go to the front of the net, and Jake Evans can do his thing as well. It seems like a very versatile line. And then on the penalty kill, if you wanted to talk about Evans and his role in that spot, he might be able to do some really good things alongside Nico Hischier and Brott and everybody else whom they have on forward in that PK role. They don't have Curtis Lazar or Justin Dowling playing meaningful minutes on the penalty kill, so there certainly does seem to be more of a distribution of talent on the top end there. I mean, hey, I'm looking at this roster. You've got Tomas Tatar also in there, so even more former Montreal Canadiens ties, even though, of course, Tatar was a little bit before some of these other guys' times. Anyways, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think a trade could look like? What do you think the return could be in a realistic sense? You can't just go out there and say, oh, I want Jack Hughes. What do you think the Devils could realistically give Montreal in some sort of a Jake Evans deal? And do you think that price could be driven upwards? Because Pierre LeBrun was saying on the broadcast that teams have, let's say, 10 to 12 guys that they'd be targeting, and for Jake Evans, he's one of many, but he is one of the earlier ones that has been listed on these lists here. Do you think Jake Evans is worth it to go out there and make that sort of a transaction? And do you think it would work for the Montreal Canadiens? They've been winning lately. They've been in a pretty good spot, so do you think it's more likely that they continue down this path, they start stringing together those dubs, and then they just decide to keep Jake Evans, or do you think a trade is more inevitable than not? I want you to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. What do you think a trade would look like? What do you think the necessity of a trade looks like? Do you think it's actually going down that path? And if you're New Jersey, what is it that you want to give up in order to get Jake Evans? What's the realistic price that you would be willing to pay? Is it really as simple as just a late first-round pick, for example, and maybe another middling prospect? And I say a late first-round pick and some other stuff because Jake Evans, I feel like his value has been growing so much that maybe just saying that he's worth a first is a bit unfair, but I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section either way. Links are in the description to the Twitter video as well as the article, not to mention ExpressVPN. Go out there and use the link if you need a VPN. They give a very good one. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.